How many of us started this week with a plan? A foolproof blueprint, only to have it interrupted. Maybe the car wouldn't start. Maybe a child got sick. Perhaps a coworker stopped by your office. When you finally had some time to catch up on some work, our lives are full of what we call nuisances, those unexpected interruptions that pulls us off schedule and leaves us frustrated. As we discussed last week, we live in a world that celebrates productivity, speed, efficiency, but not so much stillness and space. And a lot of the time, those interruptions are not obstacles in holiness, but they're actually the path to it. Our homily series, reflecting on Matthew Kelly's book, Slowing Down to the Speed of Joy, brings us this week to a crucial truth. Joy requires margin. Kelly describes this as the space between our capacity and our commitments. When our lives are jam-packed, when every minute is filled, we leave no room for God to surprise us, to interrupt us. And the saints understood this. They lived busy, demanding lives, but they always allowed room for God's interruptions. Think of Mary, the greatest saint to ever live. Her life was interrupted by an angel. She had plans for a quiet life in Nazareth. And suddenly, God asked her to bear his son. And that divine interruption changed all of history. Or how about St. Joseph? He had every reason to walk away from Mary quietly. But instead, he allowed a dream, an interruption, to alter his path. St. Francis of Assisi was interrupted by a beggar. St. Teresa of Calcutta, Mother Teresa, was interrupted by the cry of the poor. St. Augustine, by the restless voice within him that would not leave him alone. Every saint has a story of interruptions. And every interruption was actually an invitation to trust more deeply, to surrender more control, to be more available and present to God in the present moment. And today we celebrate All Saints, and we're reminded that holiness is not found in doing more, but in being more available. Holiness is not found in doing more, but in being more available. Saints didn't fill every single moment of their day. because they created space for the Spirit to work spontaneously. So, friends, this is especially true for us. Holiness often comes disguised as a child calling your name for the 10th time, a neighbor who needs your help, or a spouse that just needs some time to talk to you and for you to listen. These are not distractions from your vocation. They are living out your vocation more fully. The interruptions are the invitations. So today, brothers and sisters, may we be inspired by the saints of our tradition to slow down a bit to the speed of joy, to live with margin, as Matthew Kelly says, to allow God to interrupt us, because the saints show us that heaven begins here, in the small surrendered moments where we allow God to enter the spaces that we did not plan for. May we, like the saints, make room in our hearts and our schedules for these holy interruptions that lead us to joy and ultimately